Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Eternal Spring. I am Paul Thrott, and I am here, as always, with my wife, Stephanie. Hello.
Hello, everybody.
So it's been a while. Sorry. We've been super busy. We were in Mexico City for most of June, so about 3.5 weeks, and we were super busy that whole time and since. So I thought it was time. We thought it was overdue to provide an update about what's been going on, what we're doing, what happened, and what our plans are for the future. And then hopefully we'll have more videos later.
More quickly.
Yeah.
Yep. Um, so we spent a lot of time working on the book. We'll get more into that later in this video. We've had a lot of travel. Before we went to Mexico City, we went to the Finger Lakes in upstate New York, Seattle for a work trip, and then Boston to visit friends and family. We had Mexico City, and we just had a short trip to New York. We're going to Washington, D.C. in August. Then we're going to Berlin in early September, Dallas in early October, and then back to Mexico City for 6 weeks in October and November. And then on to Chicago after that. So, you know, so that's part of what's been taking up our time and will take up our time in the future. But one beneficial thing to note is that our daughter is going to take our cats and they're going to live with her for a while, indefinitely, which frees up a lot of time for us in the future when we can get down to Mexico City and not have to worry about getting care for the cats. We would have stayed longer on the last trip, but we had to be back because our niece, who was our cat and house sitter, was going on her own trip.
Right. How dare her?
I know.
Or she, whatever. Yeah. So all right. So we have a series of updates we want to get through. And like I said, we'll follow these up with other videos. We'll expand on some of this, but let's kind of lightning round it. Starting with some apartment updates. And I guess I'll do the first couple. Some of these will warrant other videos or shorts of their own, but just to kind of rifle through it. So we had done a video earlier about the balcony camera that we bought and the Wi-Fi node that we got to drive it, etc. The speakers that didn't work, so I bought a second Wi-Fi node, and now it works great. So we've got that going. We get these neat daily videos out of that, so that's kind of fun. So now when we're gone, we can actually see what's going on not due west, but west of us. Shower update, our everyone's favorite topic. Nothing new to say there except that we've kind of settled into a rhythm with it, right? So with I don't think I had any except maybe you might have had one bad shower, but
I
honestly,
had a couple, but not
yeah.
only at the beginning.
Yeah, so 3 weeks ish of really good showers for the most part, and really consistent. It's been good. There's nothing's been fixed. It's still terrible, but we've got this water heater that's just going to work with one thing at a time. That's the way it is. The funny thing is, we had dinner late in the trip with one of our neighbor friends, and we kind of discussed this with her. And she said, "Yeah," she goes, she lives by herself, right? So she's like, she never has two things going at once, and she's like, "I actually have water pressure and heat issues as well. I just, she's just from Mexico, so to her this is just normal." So I like maybe it's just the way things are. I don't know. So we've I wouldn't say given up, but we're not. It seems like it's working and for us, and it's fine. So
Yeah.
we're gonna move on. Plus, we have other things that don't work.
Yes. Yeah, when we arrived and for this trip in June, our refrigerator was not working properly. It was running, it was working as in it was cool, but it was not as cold as it should be. Things in the freezer were not frozen. Pretty much the freezer was fridge temperature. The fridge was
Room
no
temperature,
special
basically. Yeah.
temperature.
Yep.
Luckily we didn't have a ton of things in there, but we tried a couple of things that people suggested to fix it. Didn't work. I had to try 3 or 4 different places before I got a response for somebody that would even come out and look at it, and then finally got through to somebody that our neighbor recommended, who was very good. Came, message to confirm his appointments, came on time, told us what our options were, came back with another person. So finally, a couple days before we finished the trip, it was fixed, it was running. Ice was in the freezer, not water. things in the fridge were cold.
Yeah.
So
It's nice when things work, you know.
yes, so hopefully that will continue to work. Another thing I did on this trip is I hung up some artwork. We bought artwork on previous trips, and then not having the exact right supplies meant we couldn't hang most of it on the wall. So I ordered some hooks and some wire and got things hung up. So I'm happy with that. Looks better. Looks
Yeah, it
more
looks great. Yeah.
homey.
We have now,
You
yeah. I
know?
mean, we have a few more things to do, maybe in the bedrooms and maybe a
Yeah.
little picture here or there in a bathroom or
Hmm.
whatever. But the main
Yep.
area looks nice.
Yes.
What else we got? We had a couple friends visit us just for 24 hours, real quick, and but we had an awesome, really quick bang, bang, bang of favorite places. They loved it, and
Hmm.
one of them was looking for some very specific sports memorabilia for a. This is bizarre, but for a Mexico City college
Unam.
soccer
Yep.
team. Yeah, so found it, nailed it. That was great.
Yep.
We've been asked a lot about the Mexico City water crisis, which is ongoing. We actually have started working on a video about this, but just really quickly, this has never impacted us. It was really hot the last time we were there in February, March. Was hot the entire time there, hotter than usual, until we came back in June. It was hot the first week or 10 days or whatever it was we were there. But then the rainy season kicked in, and man, it rained a lot.
It
The
rained a
rest of the trip,
lot.
it rained a lot. I'm not saying that solves the problem, but like I said, we'll
It
have more.
helps.
Yeah, it helps, and we'll have more to say about that later. But long story short, we were not impacted by the water crisis at all.
No, no. We did another video on this, but I had my gum infection, so I got my first medical care doctor visit in Mexico, which went great, and filled my prescriptions, and have 100% everything seems to be okay now.
Mhm.
So that worked out for the best for me.
Yep. Yep.
Um, we also, you probably remember that we blocked off our dryer vent so we couldn't have a bird's nest in there. Well, the birds outsmarted us and built nests in the two holes next to the dryer vent. So when we got there, there was a whole little baby bird family living there. So we let them grow up and fly away, and um, through a miscommunication with the woman who cleans our apartment, I said that we needed to clean out the nests, and then I noticed that she was in fact cleaning out the nests for
I don't
us.
know how she
So
reached them. She's about 3 feet tall, and they're way up on. I don't know how she did it, but yep, she cleaned them.
so by the time we noticed, she was well into the project, so we
Yep.
just thanked her and gave her extra money for the cleaning.
And we implemented a system
Oh,
similar to
right.
what we had for the vent for the water heater,
Yes.
so that those holes are now full of full. There's a tubing in there that is covered with mesh, so air can get through, which is important. But there's no room for them to get in there and
Hmm.
build a nest. Hopefully, we'll find out next time.
Guess we'll see in October.
Oh, sorry. So we had talked about having a solstice party, right? Because Tim, our neighbor, and I were kind of debating, where the sun would land at its peak, I guess, in that direction. A couple things happened that prevented that from happening. One is the rainy season. It was horribly overcast that entire time, so we were never going to see where it landed anyway. Could have maybe predicted that one, I guess. But unfortunately, Tim also had some family medical emergency and ended up being gone for much of our trip. So we saw him a little bit at the beginning of the trip and a little bit at the end, but um, not as much as we had hoped.
No, not as much as we would hope, but next time, hopefully.
Mhm.
Um, we also had a little earthquake. It was very minor. The alarms didn't go off. It wasn't even as bad as the one that we had that we could feel in Pennsylvania that was centered in New Jersey.
Right.
It was one of those things. I think we've mentioned before that our building is designed to kind of shake a bit when
And,
when there's vibration. So
and it does.
and it does. So you
It does.
actually feel it every time a truck drives by. So
Yeah.
this was kind of the same feeling as that, except it just didn't stop. Like usually a truck obviously goes by quickly, and then
Mhm.
it kind of kept going on for several seconds, and we both called out to each other. But all in all, it was noticeable, but minor. So we managed that.
Mhm.
Um, we've also had a club next door to us that's been a problem for the past few trips, in
Right.
that they play loud music really late into the night and into the early morning. So there are a couple nights there we had to wear noise canceling headphones or earplugs at night. Um, the club is illegal, so our neighbors have been trying to fight this quite a bit.
Yeah, it's on the roof of a historic building. You know, it shouldn't
Mhm,
be there.
right.
So anyway, things move slowly, but
hmm and they're always blasting music with no customers. Like nobody actually goes to this place, but they are just,
yep.
loud as they could be.
Every
But
time I look down on it, there's no
it's
one there.
nobody
No one.
there. But it looks like they closed after the beginning of the trip.
Oh,
There
they did. We
was,
confirmed it actually.
yeah,
They did. They're
yeah.
closed. Yep.
Um, so that's good. Fingers crossed that another club doesn't move in.
I mean,
But
yeah. Yeah, it wasn't every single night. You know, Mexico has weird schedules, but you know, Thursday through Saturday night could be a problem. But yeah, the last couple of weeks was great. They were just gone. It was
Mhm.
wonderful.
Yeah, that's perfect.
We watched a couple of sporting events while we were there, which was kind of fun. So, in the same sense that we had watched, you know, the World Series, you know, like last October or November, we were able to watch the end of the NBA, or actually all the NBA finals while we were there. That was great because Boston was in the finals and they're our team. And last time they won, I was actually at the game. So in 2008, when they won the championship against the Lakers, I was there, and I was not there this time, but it was still fun. So we watched it from
Yeah.
Mexico, so that was cool.
hmm
Also, some soccer or football, as they would call it,
Yep.
in this place and everywhere else in the world, I guess. The Copa America was occurring in the United States, but all Latin American teams. So the two games that we watched in pretty much in full were terrible. They were both 0-0 ties. One of the most boring
Yep. Yep.
games I've ever seen in my entire life.
hmm
Terrible. But anyway, okay. So we do have a lot of book updates, like we said. Now we're going to lightning round this one again as well, because you know we have so much more to do and say about this that it's too much for one video. But we spent most of our free time, so to speak, on this trip working on the book. So we had said this before, you know, we're writers and video comes difficultly to us. But we really dug in on the writing on this one. And a lot of it was like literal writing, but also organizational writing, you know, trying to figure out, we've changed the format of this a couple of times. And, you know, again, we'll get to that. So we'll have more on that. Our book has been complicated by the Michelin Guide. We've talked about this a little bit, but there were many places they recommended and even starred in Roma Norte, and or gave awards to or whatever. And we were surprised we didn't know, as you know, many of them. We were later surprised to discover we'd actually been to a couple of them before. We just didn't recognize them. So, um, well, Stephanie came up with a plan for this past trip, so that we could maybe be a little more organized in getting to these places, so we could write about them.
Mhm. Yeah, so when we, right before we arrived or soon after we arrived, depending on the place, I went ahead and booked reservations for, pretty much all of the starred Michelin restaurants, except Pujol. And then, so we had a plan going in, and, we didn't just go to starred places, we went to other places as well, but we knew we would get into those places having the reservations because, some of them are pretty tough to get into. And so
Yeah.
we got in everywhere we wanted to go. And then more places in our neighborhood that you could book on more of the last minute or just walk in. We're also starting to publish some longer reviews of some of these restaurants, which is on our website, which still needs to be refreshed. But first one up is Quintonil. We went to Quintonil early on this trip, so I know that's one of the two-star restaurants in Mexico City. The other one being Pujol,
Mhm.
and we also went to Taqueria El Califa de Leon, which is the little taco stand that got a Michelin star.
Yep.
Our review
For
of
some
that will
reason.
be the next one up. That'll be going
Yep.
up soon. So.
Yeah. So again, a lot more there. One of the worries is that this book will get too long. So we're not going to put the reviews on the site will be longer than what's in the book. It just doesn't make sense to do that
Mhm.
much, but there's so much to say about these places. So, you know, we'll have a lot. We also went to a lot of restaurants that were new to us that were not related to Michelin in our area, especially. And then revisited some places we've only been to once or twice and hadn't been in a while. Again, just with the idea of, you know, bolstering the information for the book. We spent a lot of time and money in restaurants on this trip. Like, kind of crazy. I mean, even for us, it was nuts. Everyone
Mhm.
commented on it. People we know there, people we know back home were like, "It seems like you guys did." It was like, yeah, it was kind of stupid. So if you follow us on Instagram or whatever, you will have seen that. And we did a bunch of other work related to the book, around the metro, the bus system, some tours. And like I said, we're going to do more on that, videos and reviews on the site. So we'll have more to say about that soon.
Mhm. Yep. And then as far as our next trip to Mexico goes, um,
Mhm.
in early October, Paul has a work trip to Dallas. So we'll both go down to Dallas and then we'll fly to Mexico City from Dallas since,
Mhm.
we'll already be halfway there. We plan on staying there for about 6 weeks. We have friends visiting towards the end of that trip, so that's when we're going to go to Pujol. They're a couple, and they're both in the restaurant industry. He's a chef, so they're very interested in some of the fine dining experiences. So it will be good to see it for them and to review it for the book. That will be over Day of the Dead, so we'll be down there for that time. So that should be a
Yeah,
good
I
span of
guess a
time.
good and bad. I don't know. It's kind of a weird time to be in Mexico City, but it's fine. I mean, I'm just gonna probably stay away from the Zocalo personally, but we'll see how that goes. I forgot to put this in the notes, but we also have another friend we're going to meet in early October, when we first arrive, in addition to the other friends. So we'll see.
Right.
There might be more
Mhm.
going on there. But we get home from Mexico in mid-November. We have to go to Chicago fairly immediately for another work trip. And I think you'll be coming along just because why not?
Yeah.
And then the holidays, obviously, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. We always do something for all of those, obviously, with family and friends. And now that the cats will hopefully still be gone, right? And we'll see how that goes. But the plan is that our daughter has the cats. If that is true, we would like to spend a lot more time in Mexico City next year, starting right at the beginning of the year. So right after the New Year's, we'd like to spend at least 2 to 3 months there and miss the winter here in Pennsylvania
Mhm.
because obviously, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so that's why and what. This has taken so long. We're sorry. We've been busy, like we said, but we have a lot more we want to do. We have a number of videos we sort of started on, not so much recording the videos, but just taking notes and structuring them and
Mhm.
so forth. And so
Yep.
we're going to try to get through some of that more quickly than we did with this one. But thank you for watching, and we will hopefully be back soon. That's the plan.
Thank you. Bye.